Alright everybody, welcome back to another Dead by Daylight video. So this is just going to be my PTB impressions. I know it's a day late because of how my schedule is. That's just how it's going to have to be. So before we get into everything, the Chucky changes, I wasn't able to test because every single time I got into a match everyone DC'd for obvious reasons. There's going to be a whole video on it, but a lot of my thoughts on the changes are going to be conjecture. Unfortunately, I'll get into that in that video. But the big thing I want to talk about is the new killer and the new perks. So the perks I'll go over first, and then we'll get into the killer. So the new perks are fine. I like that they're all synergistic and basically don't really work too well on their own, except maybe Thunder Thighs, because that's what it is. Which gives you the increased lunge range, which is really nice when you drop from a height. Now, I was a little scared with this because I thought what it was going to do was it was going to activate during the fall, but no, it does not activate until after the fall. You even get a sound notification, which is really cool, and its only requirement is a cooldown and falling from a height, which I think is fine considering not every map is going to have somewhere for you to do that easily. Almost every map does have a drop. I mean, Shack Stairs is always an option. Most maps have heals, etc., etc., and the increased lunge range is actually really decent. The new Scourge Hook, the generator effect, because it shows you the generator with the most progress in yellow, which is nice, but not its main purpose. Its main purpose is that if you hook someone on a hook that isn't a Scourge Hook, it becomes a Scourge Hook when they are unhooked. Now, this doesn't increase your Scourge Hook count. I don't know if it's random or not, but it will select a one of your hooks to no longer be a Scourge Hook. Now, this doesn't really work too well with Pain Res, which is the one everyone usually runs. In the sense of you don't get it to activate. But the fact that you can put someone on a hook in a good location and then it becomes a Scourge Hook, and now the next time you hook them, you have a Scourge Hook there, can be nice. However, it does synergize very well with Gifted Pain and Floods of Rage. The reason being is both of these perks activate when the survivor is unhooked, which activates once this is active. I don't know if that's intentional or not, I hope it is. So once they're unhooked, it becomes a Scourge Hook and the effects still go off, which is really nice. This is going to be a big debate on whether you should take this or Agitation whenever you're running a Scourge Hook. Honestly, I think it comes down to personal preference. I think I'm going to be taking this more than Agi, because Hook RNG is a pain sometimes, and even Agi can't get you where you need to go. And technically speaking, this might be faster, because if someone's right under any hook, you can just put them under this. Again, it doesn't really synergize too well with Pain Res, so maybe we won't see it too often. The last one is basically Merciless Storm, but for healing. Cool effect. I tried to get it to go off a few times, didn't really work. But next, we're going to go into the Houndmaster. Now, I want to go over the visuals and the character design before we get into anything. And also, the dog's name is Snug, which is adorable. First, kudos to Behavior's art team and design team. Just immaculate. And to everyone who's been wanting a pirate killer, here's our pirate killer, technically speaking. I don't fully know if she is Caribbean or if she's just from, like, she just lives in the Caribbean. It wasn't really said too well in the lore. Someone can correct me on that if they want to, but it is nice to have Caribbean representation of some kind anyways. But yeah, it is what it is. So I think it's not really well represented. Also, they kind of had their cake and ate it too with the whole voodoo representation. She doesn't use any magical voodoo powers or anything like that, but there is some aesthetics of, I want to say hoodoo, not voodoo. It's a complicated thing, and this is why a lot of things don't use voodoo aesthetics, because it is very complicated to do in a respectful and proper way. So, yeah. But I do appreciate the weapon. The flourish she does when she hits a survivor is so cool. She like flips it up in the air. It's like Clowns, but even better. At the beginning of the match, she like pulls it out of her cane sheath and just throws away the sheath. She doesn't even care. She just goes around with it. But to the part everyone cares about, the power. So the power has two modes. You have search mode and hunt mode. I'm sorry, search mode and chase mode. I'm going to go over search mode first because it's probably the part I'm not the biggest fan of, but want to be. So the search mode goes out, you send the dog out, and it leaves a path. And if you follow the path, you get a speed boost. We don't know how much it is. No one's really data mined it, but we're pretty sure it's 5%, which isn't that much. And once the dog gets to the location you have pinged, it will then start to come back. Any survivor that is within a certain range of the dog gets Killer Instinct and gets afflicted with a Blood Hunt, I believe it's called. Basically, they get a debuff, and if you injure them with this debuff, they get Deep Wound. So, here's the thing with this. It's not that good. It's also bugged on PTB right now. Sometimes you don't get the speed boost, which is infuriating because it's like the main point of it. Some things that I did notice when playing is you can send it to generators, exit gates, or generators and exit gates as well. However, the dog has to manually take the path, and it will take some weird paths, and you only get that speed boost when you're going through the path. So it can be very infuriating in that sense. I didn't find too much use out of it. The passive it gets where it gives them deep wound almost never came into effect. I couldn't really think of a situation where it would. I'm hoping that with the deep wound update they're doing soon, that's maybe the reason why they gave it to her, because they knew she would use it well, but we'll see. But in general, this was a very buggy ability and just didn't seem very useful. The cooldown is also super long with this. You have to wait for the dog to come back, and then the cooldown starts. There's also a clunky thing, which we'll get into with the other power, where you can swap between the two modes. But if the dog is on the hunt, like you send them to go look in a direction or something, the cooldown doesn't... You can't swap it during that. You can only swap it once the dog is back, which is very annoying, because a lot of times I would think I swapped when I didn't. As you can see, the background footage, probably. The other thing with this is the chase mode. The chase mode is basically you send the dog forward in a direction. If there's any vault locations, the dog does go over them. And then you can redirect the dog. So you take control of the dog's POV, and then you shoot the dog forward in that direction. This does follow collision, so it can go around obstacles if need be and things like that, but it doesn't go through them. If a survivor is behind a rock, the dog will go around the rock. It will not go, like, juke left and then, like, swing right and hit the survivor. It will go past it. This was very, very difficult to use. Now, I'm willing to chalk this up to a skill issue, but I tried so hard to get this to work at so many loops, and it just didn't work. The best way I found to use this was honestly to zone. Now, before we get into that, I do want to say the point of this. Once the dog hits the survivor, the dog grabs them and is supposed to pull the survivor towards you. And then they can struggle out and you can hit them. It's almost a guaranteed hit, I will give it that. If another survivor is nearby, they can shoo the dog away, because behavior couldn't have the survivors hitting a dog. So they can shoo the dog away, and then they get hindered for a little bit and you can keep going with it. Very, very interesting power. Again, the most use I found out of it was to zone at pallets. If you can get pallet control with this killer, you're basically guaranteed a hit at that loop. You send the dog one way, send the direction the other, and then the survivor either has to leave the loop and get hit with the dog and then get M1'd, or run back into you. It's very similar to Artist, but with some extra steps. So overall, I don't like this killer. I love the idea. I love the aesthetic. The add-ons really weren't that great. There's one called, I think it's Tangled Knot or something like that, which basically gives you a Stabiffle hit if you hit a survivor that's being dragged by the dog. I think people are overblowing how good this one is. Again, they have to get hit by the dog, and it is very well telegraphed and very hard to land a lot of the times. So yeah, there's that. Nothing other than that really stood out as like a, you must run this or this is going to be broken, other than maybe that one, but even then, I'm pretty sure the... combining it with Stabiffle is also not really that great, because I think it's a multiplicative bonus. It's math talk, we'll stop. But overall, I like the design of the killer. I hope some of the clunkiness and I hope search mode is buffed somehow before it comes to live. But I don't think this is going to be a killer for me. And that's fine. I'm okay with that. There hasn't been like a killer like that since I started the game. I've enjoyed every killer since I started playing when Nemesis dropped. So having one that finally comes out, I'm not a fan of them. It was bound to happen one day. In any case, let me know what you guys think. I know this was kind of like an impromptu video. But yeah, I love y'all. Have a good one. And bye.
Subscribe, damn it. I'll be back. I always come back, and so should you, you moron.